My name is Arrisol. I am 25 years old. I am a point guard and shooting guard for the Solent Kestrels. I feel like my journey in terms of starting with basketball is completely different. I have 3 sisters, 2 are in the house, and my mother, and they were all very performing arts. So as the younger brother, I just followed suit. So that includes tap, modern, ballet, so all that stuff. I kind of got tired of wearing a leotard. So there was one day where I was outside and then there's this vicious, evil demon dog. And one time it got let out and it chased me to unknown territory where I wasn't allowed. And I came across a basketball court. There was a father and his 2 sons playing basketball, and he seen me, and so he invited me to play. And then I literally fell in love with the game from there. And then from that, told my mum, I love basketball, I want to be a basketball player, as you do as a young kid. And then we managed to find a local basketball team, play for school and stuff, and it literally just became from there. During my secondary school time years, I got bullied a lot, didn't have much friends, so I was very isolated in terms of everyone in my age group, and basketball was kind of that safe haven for me to kind of, 1, be good at something and express myself, and 2, being good at something and making friends through that. At 15, 16, a lot of my friends who also play basketball that I met through basketball started to move to these academies, like your Barking Abbeys, your Charnwoods and your Myerscoes and all that stuff, and playing in the EABL. That was the next best move for me, and there was a time where I begged my mum to let me go to Charnwood, which is in Loughborough, where 2 of my other friends went that previous year, and at the time Loughborough was probably the best one to my eye on where it would make me the player and the person I am. Begged my mum for about 3 weeks, did whatever she wanted, take me into a tryout and open day and stuff like that. So I went there, nobody knew who I was, and then they seen that I could play defense and was fast and was kind of very hardworking and willing to do anything. And so they gave me a shot. It was the highlight of my life. Still to this day, I think Loughborough made me who I was, by the people, the connections, the culture, and kind of bringing that new vibe of who I am. For Loughborough, for me, and having those role models and the coaches and being able to see people like the Leicester Riders and being able to work with them, live with them, train with them was a very big highlight for me in terms of setting that foundation of who I wanted to be in the next 5 years. 2 years down the line, I started to create a name for myself. I started to really implement that I am a great defender, I'm fast, I'm hardworking, I'm a leader. Just turned 18, that implemented into me getting through to tryouts for England. That was when I really started to feel like a sense of achievement in my life. Playing my first international tournament was amazing, and then that allowed me to get good tape, get good kind of references, recommendations, and get scouted to play in America. So I went to a junior college for my first 2 years in Colorado. I'm pretty sure every other hooper that's traveled can speak on this and relate to this. It is tough, and I think at the time there wasn't much support in terms of the mental state, and you don't really know what you're going through until after. And I think being able to adapt to a culture, make friends, and that was another point where it kind of rattled my character a little bit, from just finding myself in Loughborough, being content with who I was, to going to America and then being completely different. But nonetheless, after my 2 years in junior college was amazing. I think the main takeaway is it gave me the fight that I needed, that no matter what happens, no matter how much playing time or who's in front of you or where other people are going or getting recruited to and stuff like that, it allowed me to take that, and I learned the hard way that it's not about them, it's about you. Even though your road may be different, you still will get to a point where you are supposed to be. And then I got a scholarship to Chaminade University, which was in Hawaii. So that was completely different. They play in the Maui tournament, which to this day probably is one of the biggest Division I tournaments that we compete in. So we're playing against Kansas, UCLA, Kentucky, Georgia, all these great D1 programs with NBA prospects, so being able to go against them was insane.
And there's 10 new players on this Georgia roster, so it's going to take some time for the Bulldogs to get into shape as Andre Arrisol gives Chaminade the early lead.
Spray him down, Arrisol, yes. Now I ask you something, I get either just a dead air screen, penetration and just like you draw it up.
Arrisol!
3 times.
Can I call the game here? 3 for Arrisol. Arrisol steps back.
Let it fly.
Again.
There's the penetration. Find Arrisol. Find Arrisol.
Arrisol for 3.
Yeah, that was my journey. And then, so it went from Northampton to Loughborough to Colorado to Hawaii, then Hawaii to Southampton, which I joined 2 years ago, so this is my 2nd year, and I don't regret anything. Southampton is amazing. Obviously on paper it is what it is, like we get results on what we do, but there's a reason for that, and this culture and Southampton, what they do here is something that you would see in America in terms of facilities, in terms of the people that will help you, in terms of the preparation details. And I think that's something that I've learned from here, is that the most prepared will be the most successful. Winning is why we do this. We all love winning. The competitive environment through everything, through practice, through the weight room, is definitely there. Our practices are probably 10 times as harder as our games sometimes, because of how hard we go at each other. And so like if I'm going against Cole or Luke, they're amazing players, so obviously I want to prove to myself and prove to them and prove to the coaches as to why I should get more minutes than Luke, because as I should get more minutes than Luke. So that's the environment that we bring, and I think it's so healthy. Obviously, the downfall of winning all the time is it's very hard to pick where your weaknesses are. I think we've been challenged with that a couple times this year. The first half of the year, I think we realized that there's some tweaks that need to be made. But yeah, I think that's the downfall, just understanding, okay, well, if you're winning all the time, does anything need to change? Do we need to work as hard? Maybe like that natural human instinct of complacency can kick in. I've noticed drops and peaks of my performance, and I think any professional basketball player, it's not about being good at this. I think it's just about being consistent and being productive with your minutes, and I think that's something that I've fluctuated with this year, and I think that's something that I've been managed to identify, and that's the good part. I think there's a few key areas on where British basketball can be improved. I think it's court access. I'm sure a lot of people have already spoke about this, but I think when you go to somewhere like America, court's free. There's like scheduled times where people will just go in, even if it's recreational basketball, like it's just there, it's just accessible. You want to play basketball, you can. Here, and you're having to pay, what, like £35 for an hour? Like, it's just for half a court as well. It's ridiculous, really. I think that that's the main thing that needs to change, especially because statistically, basketball is like one of the most played sports in the country. There's a lot of outdoor courts that are really good and stuff, but obviously we live in England, so it's more time it's rain. We have a struggle with the marketing of our basketball in this country. As much as we all complain like the BBL needs to be better or the NBL needs to be better, maybe it needs more money and then it will be more popular or we'll get respected as a country and stuff like that, but I think it should come from the players. I think the players should put more out there, like show them the insides, kind of like what we're doing here, like show them the insides of what it's like being a professional. Online world is through the roof right now, so we need to utilize that, and I think more fans, more kids want to see players just besides seeing them on game day. Being a professional basketball player is definitely a blessing. For us here, I think we're all kind of on the same regime. For the guys that are just full-time athletes, usually wake up, we'll get a lifting workout in, and then we'll have a workout. Whether it's more of like an offense-based workout where we work together, or it's individual, or it's just a pure shooting workout. And then for me personally, I'll go back up to the gym and I'll stretch, do mobility and stuff, and then we'll have practice, and then that's pretty much it day to day. On the side of basketball, I also model, but I'm starting to do my own YouTube because I want to be a TV presenter outside of basketball. What do I enjoy about playing for Solent Kestrels? The team chemistry. Because I've been here for 2 years, so I joined when I was 23, and now I'm 25. I think that's also a weird gap in terms of understanding where you're going in life. And I think for a lot of us that are around that age, you kind of want to make sure you know what direction your life is going. And I think the people that we have around here and the chemistry and the connections that I have with the team, I've been able to talk to them and get a lot of counsel through the people around. And I think that's probably the main thing that I've learned in terms of it's not about the end goal, it's not about where you were, it's always about the now. And I think that's really important. Your success is based off your daily habits. And I think that is a crucial thing here because you do get a lot of free time, downtime being a professional. So I think that was really a shock for a lot of people, whether you're a hard worker or not. You're not being told, you're not being called up, you don't have it on paper on what you have to do. So you have to kind of find it within yourself to go and lift, work hard, even when no one's watching. I do not see myself giving up basketball for a very long time. Basketball is obviously makes me the man I am today. It's the reason why I have such a good energy inside me and it brings me to life every day is because of basketball. Even when the day is when I hate it or I don't want to practice or I just want to lay in bed, basketball is the reason why, to me, I'm living, and that is my purpose. And I think it's only right for me when I'm done to give back to the game in whatever form that may be.